Hi guys, hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. If you love crochet, then you should definitely subscribe and hang around because I have a lot of crochet stuff coming out very soon, and most of it will be Halloween and fall if you can't tell by my sweatshirt, which is what we'll be doing today. Today we'll be doing a ghost crochet sweater. So let's just get on into talking about how we're gonna make that. So to start, the yarn I'm using. So I initially ordered 3 skeins from Premier Yarns of this Cotton Fair, like beautiful purple color. This is in the color Plum. There is the color code for you guys. I think I'm gonna be a little short, so I ended up ordering 2 more, which will definitely be more than enough. I'm generally like a small medium. I think most of my sweaters I tend to make more of like a medium. So if you are curious, that's that. I also tend to make my sweaters cropped. So if you're looking for like size wise, if you do like a slightly cropped sweater and are more of a medium, probably want around like 4 of these, but we'll also get back to that. As well as I ordered the cream color for our ghost. So I also will need black, but I already have like black yarn in general, so I didn't bring that down here to show you guys because I didn't specifically order it for it. But you could order the exact yarn you have, or you can use black acrylic like I will be using because it will just be detailed. Next is the hook I'm using is a 4.5mm hook. Optional is a stitch marker. I tend to like to use these when I'm measuring out my sleeves, because I do freehand everything. I do it based on clothes I already own, on sizing, on myself, like I kind of try stuff on as I go. Stitch markers are definitely very useful for that. And let's also go ahead and look at what is already done. So to get an idea for everything, I already did one sleeve, which is a little squared off, but once you stitch it together, it'll be not as squared. This is one sleeve. I am going to be adding cuffs to everything, so that's why it looks a little short. And this is the back of the sweater. If you have never made a sweater before, I highly recommend doing the back panel first, especially if you're going to add a print, because you kind of can get the right length, and then you can do what I like to do, which is put a stitch marker for how much you're going to do before you add your graphic. So yeah, that's just my little recommendation. If you have never done a sweater and you're kind of freehanding your graphic, definitely do that, as well as do one sleeve, come back to do a second one later, because sleeves are my least favorite part. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started on the sweater. All right, so for your starting chain, I personally did 95 stitches. I want mine to be a little boxy, a little slouchy, so I did mine larger. But the best way to size is to use a sweater or sweatshirt that you have in your closet that you love the fit of. And basically you're gonna do the starting chain up to about, especially if you're using this yarn, like a 1/2 inch difference, because this will stretch a little bit as you go. But yeah, so you want to do up to about a 1/2 inch difference. It is probably going to end up a little bit bigger. It just really depends on how the stitches go out. But yeah, so basically measure up to 1/2 inch, or if you want it a little bit bigger, maybe get one that's a little bit more fitted than you like. Do the starting chain the full length of the sweater, like the width, I guess I should say, of the sweater, and have that be your starting chain. Mine, I did 95, like I said, for a boxier, looser fit. Next, I'm going to skip my first stitch, go into my second, and I'm actually going to do a single crochet all the way across, just to kind of get a, I like to do this as, I was gonna say like a base, but I am going to add like a ribbed hem to these. So I guess it's kind of like a seam almost in between the ribbed hem and the rest of the sweater. So I like to add a single crochet as my first row. Once you're done with your single crochet chain, we are going to do the second row of a half double crochet, and we're going to go all the way down, or all the way across I should say, of just doing half double crochet, and then I'm going to do 10 rows in total of half doubles. So this is technically my second row, but I will be doing 10 half doubles. First was single, then the next 10 are half doubles. So by the time we get to adding the cream for our ghosts, it should be on after row 11. All right, I did all of my rows, and now I'm going to start adding to make my first ghost. So we are going to fold our yarn in half, our project in half, so we can kind of gauge where we want to put our stitch marker so we can add our cream. So based on how big you want it, you obviously want to do about half that size. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to make that where my stitch marker goes, and that's where I'm going to add the cream yarn. So I'm going to do a half double all the way to this point with purple. I am to the stitch before where I place my stitch marker. So I'm going to add the cream yarn during this stitch. So I'm going to do my typical half double start here, and then I'm going to do a cream on the end. Make sure everything is situated the way it should, and pull my cream yarn through. It's not going to fight me. And then once you've switched over to your cream yarn, you want to go the amount across. So I had 5 stitches, so I'm going to go a total of 10 stitches, then switch back to my purple. The first row with the cream yarn is done. I went ahead and did the stitch outwards like this in cream because I am going to expand the length just with the shape of the ghost I'm doing. It's going to be like a sheet ghost, so he'll kind of have some ripples going on here. So I am going to add 2 stitches onto each side, which is why I wanted the extra stitch on each. I am on my next row. This is what this one looked like. That one's pulled a little tight, so it's kind of hard to see, but this time I'm just going to go 3 out on either side, so 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, just to kind of give it a little more shape to our ghost. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to go all the way across. After this row, we are just going to stay the same. So this one I added 3, this was also the third row of cream, and now we're just going to stay the same. Alright, so I finished that one. I'm going to very gradually like decrease the cream and kind of make it an angle, but obviously I don't want my ghost super short, so it's going to be gradual. But on top of that, I'm also going to go ahead and start adding another ghost in here. So I did split this in half, and that I feel like is a little too far out. So I'm going to go in about here just to start my ghost, but he is going to be kind of at an angle, so I only need 1 stitch, but I am going to put my stitch marker in there so I know where to add the yarn. Alright, so I decided not to decrease quite yet because I want to make a thicker bottom, and like I said, I don't want to make him too short. And then here is the start of ghost number 2. He's going to kind of go outward and outward a little bit, if that makes sense. I mean, you see the thumbnail, so you kind of get an idea of what we're going for. I will add the third ghost as well once I get 1, maybe 2 rows further. Okay, so this is after the next row. I also added a stitch marker for where I'm going to start my third ghost. So that's what it looks like so far, and let's add the next ghost. Here is another row. As you can see, we're kind of angling out our ghost here. This ghost we're gonna keep the same width of for this one, and then this one we're going to angle both ways as well. Here's after the next row. You can kind of see some of the stitches I've done. I'm also only about 5 rows away from where I have to start cutting in for the sleeve. So I think for each one, this ghost is going to be about this tall, this one's going to be a little taller, and then obviously this one is going to be technically the tallest because he started higher up. So that's kind of my plan as of now, and with this I kind of just play around with it and just go with what's visually like right. And when you have little things like this that don't come off perfectly, it's a really easy fix after the fact. The next row, I've added more to both of these, and you can definitely tell on this one that we are gradually going inward with this ghost. Here's the next row here. This one's getting a little bit too narrow too quickly, but I'm going to keep it at here for hopefully like 2 rows to keep him from getting too narrow too quick. But here is one of my ghosts, here is the other one, and I kind of like this look right here because it kind of gives them the look of like they're moving. This is after the last row I just did, and now this is my last row before I start to cut in for the sleeves. So of all my rows, this is row 24, including that single stitch row at the start. So this is row 24. This is where I personally am cutting in for the sleeves after this. So I guess row 25 will be where I start to cut in. I'm getting ready to start cutting in for the sleeves. So I'm just going to go into the first stitch, then weave into the second stitch, have the loops on, and make 1 stitch to go across. That is typically how I cut in. Obviously, I'm not showing you guys, this is not quite tutorial, more of like a guide of like how I'm doing it. This is also an update of this ghost. I think he's gonna keep going out. This ghost I only have a couple of rows left on, and then this ghost is gonna go up and start coming in this way to kind of make him look like he's, like I said, floating. So there is an update. Here's the next row. This one's still getting bigger. This one, I think, like I said, I might do 2 more rows. So I'm gonna do purple here, and shorten it, even though he's already has a pretty thin head. And then this one I'm starting to come in at as well. And we are still doing the 2 stitches into a single stitch for the first to come in for this. Here what our ghosts look like. And after like a couple of just simple reducing over here, I am going to start skipping the last stitch and then flipping the work and doing 2 stitches into 1 and going across to help cut in a little bit more. The big change I made during this last row was I did this so we can kind of have it, like I said, where he's kind of like floating away. So I did some purple here instead so you can kind of see some movement in it, and then this is also the last row with the center ghost. So this is all going to be purple, and then we're going to continue with this ghost over here. I did 2 rows in between the last clip and now. So my second ghost is almost done. I am going to, after the fact, because I kind of realized like 2 or 3 rows down, and for me, I know frogging is an option, but for me, typically is not unless it's a major thing, because this is something really easy to fix after, which I will do like a full video, like clip on, but I can just fill that in to kind of even out his little shape here. But yes, so the second ghost, this will be the last little bit of the second ghost, and then I still have a little bit more of this ghost. And I think I have probably about 15 more rows altogether. Here is another update. So this one, I put some purple here, and then I'm gonna cut it in a little bit more. Like I said, I'm trying to give them kind of like a look like they're moving. This one I am gonna come back through with some cream, probably touch this one up a little bit too once we're fully done. But that is just a little update. They almost look like cow spots, but I think once they get their eyes, it'll help make them look a little more ghost-like. All right, so here is kind of like the difference between like the back panel and the front. I think the front will be a little plain, up top, since my ghosts are done, so I am gonna add 2 like smaller ghosts back here. I think I'm gonna start them and add some extra detailing after the fact, because I think I would want them to come down a little further, but that's easy to add after as well. I am starting to add the eyes to my ghosts, which kind of helps bring them to life. I am just going through the same spots 3 times to make 3 little things to give them a little bit thicker of eyes, and I'm just using acrylic yarn and my yarn needle to do that. I am going to go through with my yarn needle as well and some cream yarn here to touch up the shape of some of my ghosts, which I'll sit down and do with you guys. But I'm going to go ahead and do the eyes because I'm still debating if I want to outline my ghosts once they're done with black to give them a little more definition. I haven't fully decided yet. How I like to fix my ghosts, which I didn't do the best job with this, but I kind of try and recreate the stitches. As you can see, I'm like creating stitches in the yarn with the white over top of the purple, and then I'm kind of trying to use the ones I already like made, the stitches I already made with my needle here, and I'm going to try. And yeah, so basically I just try my best to do the stitches. The people who are absolutely incredible on recreating the stitch with like a needle like this is just, it blows my mind. I am not that good. I just do my best to try and recreate the stitch and cover up the purple. I'm also slightly creating an outline. I considered doing this with black, but I feel like using the white looks pretty nice. So basically I'm just weaving through all the end loops of the crochet here, and then I pull it through, and it gives it like a subtle outline to kind of make it have a little more shape.
And we missed the SpongeBob one.
The SpongeBob sing-along?
Yeah. It was a told one.
Unfortunately, I've been really busy and haven't been able to like film clips for you guys. That's why I made this more of like a crochet with me, because sweaters do take me a while, as in like I typically only have so much time in a day to crochet. But this is an updated look at my ghosts. I did an outline of white. So basically I took white yarn, or I guess the cream, and went around and outlined all my ghosts to kind of make them a little bit more definitive, or I don't even know if that's the right word, but where you can clearly see each ghost a lot better. And I think that's just one like very simple like technique to help elevate the look of your sweater, especially on something like this where they look a little cow spot / like blob-ish. I'm also now working on the cuffs of my sleeves, because fun fact, sleeves are my least favorite thing to do, so I'm putting off doing the other one. Alright, so it's been a while since I have filmed a clip. I've been doing some crocheting behind the scenes because I've been so busy. Sweaters take so much time, and unfortunately, when you are busy with work and just life, it's very hard to like sit down and film videos for it. So the body is not done yet. Some of the things I'm still going to do is I am going to adjust it. I typically make these like very squared off pieces, and then I'm going to go back in, and on the back I'm going to add 3 rows or 2 rows, and then on the front I'm going to add 3 to 4 rows of just like kind of like a triangle shape to make a neckline. So that needs to be done. I need to make my second sleeve. Oops, sorry, I have an actual tripod, so I might be working on my framing a little bit. I need to do another sleeve, but I have my cuffs ready for my sleeves, and then I am almost done with my hem. So I need to do a sleeve, I need to fix my neckline, I need to also make the neckline and make another sleeve. But we're in the home stretch of making our sweater because I only have a few more rows of my hem, and then probably today I will do my neckline because that doesn't take too long either, and then start on my sleeve. Now for my cuffs and my hem as well as my neckline, I personally really love to do this ribbing detail. I think it just makes it look a little more cohesive, looks kind of like a real true sweater. Basically, you just go back and forth, entering only on the back loop here, just like so. And then when I get to the end and go the other way, I'm just gonna go on the back loop, and that creates like very nice ribbing. I think it adds a nice detail to the sweater. All right, we are almost done with the last sleeve, and then as you can see, I have 3 more rows for the ribbing. I'm so excited to almost be done. I think I said this previously, but sleeves are my least favorite thing to make when I am crocheting a sweater. I wish there was just a way to have it already done for me without me having to put the work in, but it doesn't work that way. I just find them very like time consuming and tedious. Something I personally should start doing, which will be my tip for you, is if you're freehanding a sweater, typically what I do when I freehand is I use a sweater I already have in like the fit of, and I will kind of follow along with my sleeve here, or I do with the body as well. My sleeve is going to be kind of like a puff type sleeve because that's what I prefer. I kind of follow along with the sleeve and go based off that. But when doing that, I recommend also writing down like numbers, like counting. This is my 5th sweater I'm making, and I have yet to do that. I just keep, for whatever reason, freehanding my sweaters here. This time I actually did write down most of my numbers for my sweater, so I can keep it in check, so maybe next time I can just look at the numbers I used. But yeah, I really like freehanding sweaters because personally, like how my mind works, I'm not much of a, I'm not very good at like reading directions and doing them. So typically most of my creations end up being freehanded, but also it gives you full freedom to make your sweater or whatever you're making exactly the way you want it, exactly the way you picture it. Like I like a lot of my sweaters cropped. I wear a lot of like high-waisted jeans, high-waisted pants in general, and so I like to have something that flatters with that, and that's typically what I look for. So I like to make my sweaters the length I choose and then add, you know, the appropriate hem. I also didn't show I did a little bit of a different neckline. I don't know if I'm going to keep it this open. I might stitch it closed a little bit. We'll see how it looks when I try it on. But I added kind of like a little V-neck. I don't know. I thought that might be fun to change it up. I also had to stitch the top a little bit differently. So typically I don't have like this gap. I normally try and follow evenly, so when it comes to a point, I can just stitch as far as I need to and create a shoulder. But as you can see, my back piece was too big for my front piece. So a good way to do that is you kind of I lined it up like this, but obviously it wasn't attached, so this was over here. And then basically I stitched it down so the back, I don't know if that makes sense, but I lined up my front piece here, which you can see is, oh yeah, here. The front piece is the side, so I mixed it up. So I lined the top of my side to the top of the back of my sweater and then stitched down so it's all one piece here. and it creates like a small shoulder, and then once I attach my sleeves, it will kind of create like a dolman look, but that's like a good quick, oops, I accidentally did it like that. But I'm gonna resume crocheting my sleeve, and then we're gonna attach everything together. All right, here is basically the finished product. As you can see, I still have ends to weave in, but let's go ahead and get like a good look at the sweater, excluding all the ends. Now I'm unsure about the neckline. It's a little different. Like I said, I added kind of like a little notch in the front, but I'm considering like stitching it up a little more than making it like this open neck. I have not fully decided yet, but yeah, here it is. I also said puff sleeve, but it's not really a full puff sleeve. I just meant it's like has a little extra room at the top. But yeah, I think overall it's a pretty good sweater. I am 100% going to block this sweater though after I decide what I want to do with the sleeves. But yeah, this is my sweater. These are the cute little ghosts on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did and you love crochet, definitely subscribe down below and hang out because I have a lot of crochet videos coming to you. But I hope you enjoyed. Bye!